Earlier, I spoke with CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleeman and former FBI Assistant Director Ron Hosko, a CBSN security analyst, about this back and forth.
Well, it's certainly going to be adjudicated politically, and that is also in the court of public opinion. In terms of legally, if it never gets to an obstruction of justice charge that would go to the House of Representatives for purposes of impeachment, which I doubt that it will get to.
A Republican-led House of Representatives.
So that's not going to happen. But what we do have to look at here, I think Mark Kasowitz, really, as a lawyer, I have to really give him an A+ as a lawyer. I mean, he has the right stuff. He knows how to write a great press release. He knows how to say it, how to deliver it. But the reality is this. If we make James Comey out to be a liar, lest we forget, he just exonerated the president. He is the person who said that the president really did not obstruct justice without saying that. So you can't have it both ways. I mean, the fact that James Comey was perhaps forthright enough, transparent enough, or foolish enough to actually go forward and talk about leaking information through a friend to a reporter, well, that probably for many people would make his testimony even more credible because he put himself right out there. But I don't know why Mr. Kasowitz and President Trump feel a need to totally destroy Mr. Comey, who just helped them out.
Ron Hosko, James Comey was your boss. You're still with us. When you hear the president's personal attorney get up there and call him a liar and a leaker, what's your reaction?
Well, I think by the former director's own testimony today, he was a leaker, a targeted, selective leaker of potentially sensitive information that he had possession of. Whether that was privileged information, I think, is subject to great debate. Because if what the director was leaking was conversations about what he believed colorably to be a crime, the crime of obstruction of justice, I think the courts have generally ruled that that sort of communication is not going to be regarded as privileged. So,
never mind the fact that the president was already tweeting about it and had already discussed it himself.
That's right. I think the claim of privilege is a very, very thin veil, and one that will probably is already being rebutted on TV outlets across the country right now. So, I think that, look, we have seen one dimension of this yesterday when we got what the director was intending to talk about today and what his testimony would cover. We got it in two dimensions today because we saw the director of the FBI testifying to these momentous events. And now we're getting the other side of it. Perhaps we'll get the third dimension, which will be the president himself and his rebuttal. But as Ricky said, this is now in the court of public opinion. Some of it is in the hands of Bob Mueller, who is a very capable and competent prosecutor and investigator. And we'll have to see. The struggle I have with all of this is it is so iterative that you hear a piece and then the piece could change. And this was the struggle that Jim Comey was having, I think, with this president. Even though you're not a subject today, you could be a subject tomorrow. And discussing it in these little fits and starts can be very, very problematic because the investigation's course changes.
And certainly will change, Ricky.
No doubt.
We had talking about privilege just before this. I mean, that does seem like something that may not have legs in terms of at least this statement because of what the president has said on social media platforms and in television interviews.
Well, not only that, if you're looking at executive privilege, that's a very specialized area, and you have to be dealing with the issue of national security. So the question becomes, if in fact there was a conversation, as Mr. Comey testified to today, which was to let it go, about General Flynn. Well, are they talking about national security or exactly the opposite?
If we hear from Ron, to the point that you mentioned, more continues to come out. If we do hear from the former director again in front of the judiciary, was talking about this with Ricky a little bit. What else do you want to hear from him?
Well, of course, I, like everybody, would like to hear more about the progress of the Russia investigation. He's not going to go there. I think he was wise to box off any further discussion of Flynn, even though he did leave some tantalizing clues. And it sounds like that Mike Flynn's immediate problem at that time was perhaps false statements to FBI investigators who were inquiring about his Russia contacts. That is a serious problem. That is a crime that the FBI often seeks to charge as its own individual offense, but often tacked on to other crimes. So I'm interested in hearing that. But I think that even though I might have more questions for Jim Comey, I think that he's going to narrowly confine these comments because, each change, even slight changes in color or context of a meeting, raise further credibility questions. So the closer he stays to the original truth, and that is the original script, I think the better off he is in the court of public opinion saying, this guy's been consistent. He seems quite sincere. And on the other side, the president has Twitter, and then he is going through the mouth of his attorney. And that makes us all a little bit uncomfortable if you can't talk to us directly. In the president's case, perhaps he shouldn't.
Well, the day is young, so we may very well see the president communicate directly. Ron Hosko, thank you very much. But sure. To the point of the Russia investigation, Ricky, James Comey isn't going to say anything, and Bob Mueller's not going to say anything.
No, of course not.
So we just need, whether negotiations continue, I think, with Mike Flynn. Presumably, then, that is the next source of information if something is to be revealed there. If
something is to be revealed. But you have to remember, Bob Mueller is just at the beginning of staffing up a huge staff of looking at the whole issue of collusion with Russia, as well as Russia's influence, corrupt influence on the election last year. So that's a far broader topic than what we've been dealing with today, which is the question of who said what to whom.